Purposely let it play all the way through. I want you to see every name that comes through there, because I want you to see how real this stuff is in it. And if it doesn't make you tear up a little bit, it should. It does me every time I've watched it. I probably watched it 10, 12 times. And so listen to what they have to say, and you can see the importance of making sure we do some of these changes that like we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Basically what it is I'm not going to tell you what you have to do. I just want to show you guys that this stuff's here and let you make that informed decision of what to do. I know in Chapel Hill, you guys have to do some pretty stringent things, which are the first department I've ever seen that does this that I know of, and I think that that's very, very awesome. All right. So there's different types of cancerous exposures, and what cancer is just a mutation of one of the cells that happens, and it takes off and it triggers this chain reaction to happen. There's more than 100 different related diseases. So here's what causes it. What are some things that like cause cancer? Can you guys tell me some?
Toxins.
Everything. Who said everything? Good man. Toxins.
Too much of anything.
Too much of anything. I'm going to tell my wife that. Too much shopping can cause cancer. But it's on sale. Don't care. Too much of anything. All right. So good. All right. What else? Genetics is one. I'll give you a hint. Bad diet, even though, dang gum, that looks good though, doesn't it? Bacon, that's meat candy right there. I love me some bacon. All right. So smoking, being around different. Like part of my district was up on 86th Street, which doesn't mean anything to y'all, but it's we had a refinery up there. We still have mixing racks and stuff like that they mix and make ethanol, like the E85. Alcohol, believe it or not, is listed as a known carcinogen, so it's in moderation. All right, too much sun, especially down here. I mean, you guys have probably seen different friends that you get skin cancer or things like that from not wearing suntan. Now, there are a few things I'm going to ask you that if you hear nothing else from me, this is one of the sections that I ask that you just hear me out on this. All right, all of these things, all of this is the hazmat talk. So we had the medical talk, so you can write some hours off on EMS training. This is the hazmat talking, right? Some of this hours down too. All of this methyl ethyl death is in that fire smoke for you. So you can see all these things. Phosgenes, which is made from burning of like refrigerants and stuff like that, I think, like Freon. Formaldehyde, poly, big word here, hydrochloric acid, oxides of nitrogen, benzene, toluene, acrolein. All these things are here for you. Okay, so this is the part. Who's my company officers here? I picked on somebody else the other day. Who's my company officers? Okay, Cap, right? Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm pretty sure he's gonna knock this out of the park. There was a really smart chief down in South Carolina that showed me this analogy. He uses a little different slides, but this is one of the things that really hits home for me. Okay. So this is a big chlorine tank. So if you pulled up on engine 1, right? Okay, so you pull up on engine 1, you see a nice green gas come out of this thing, which would be chlorine, right? We're probably pretty safe with that. The NFPA 704 for that is a 3, 0, and 0. Okay? So like in the health category, 3 is pretty bad, right? Okay. All right, so what would you do if you pull up on engine 1 on this today, besides go, gosh, why did I have to be first to? Okay, so what would you do today? What are some of your like first initial actions that you would take? Yeah, I like the thumb indicator. Even though now somebody said pinkies the other day, or you did. You said pinky. All right. So finger indicator. Go ahead. Back up.
Mask up.
Mask up. Send the cops in, or the blue fairies as you call them. Canary. Blue canaries. I'm sorry. I screw up a bad dream.
Call regional hazmat team.
Call hazmat team. All right. What about else? Anything else, anybody?
Evacuate downwind.
Evacuate. We're getting our DOT books out, our NIOS books out. We're going to go just pause. Okay, and then we're going to make a little game plan, right? Now, good. Because what's chlorine do to kill you? Because it's bad, right? Chlorine's bad? What's it do to kill you?
Doesn't it displace the oxygen?
Right. And when it gets into your lungs, what's it mixed with?
The liquor, or the water.
The water. And what's it make?
Hydrochloric.
Hydrochloric acid. And that's what's that burning sensation you feel. There's my chemistry. All right. So my question is to you, if on that particular run, you're willing to take, I'll give it nice, I'll say 60 seconds to just go, whoa, and to have a little bit of caution about you, just in general, just a little caution as far as air management and as far as the smoke and everything, then why, on this type of run, does our thought process change? Come on, wait for it. There we go. So why does our thought process change on this kind of? Now, Grant, these guys are wearing their masks because this is a slide I just flat out reappropriated from Google. It's my ghetto way of saying stole. But so I go to Google Images, I find this fire smoke, and this is one of the things that pulled up. These guys are doing good; they're wearing their packs. But have you ever noticed that you go to like your last department fire, residence fire, whatever? You see your RIT team kind of standing out over here, standing there in the smoke. It's like we're ready to go. We got our tools, we got our lights, we got our radios, we got our ground lamps, we got the whole shooting match, and we're ready to go. But they're sitting there smelling all this smoke. You guys ever notice that? Or fires like this, take these guys who are doing the right thing, but they're like, that's a glorified trash fire or something like that, I don't know. And so they start putting it out, and leave the packs over here. Then we go over, we get up on the pile, so they start turning stuff up. You guys have seen this, right? Every person in this room, male, female, doesn't matter, we've probably all done this at some point in time in our career, probably multiple times. Okay? So, now, anybody know what the 704 for this is right here? This is bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's bad, because what's the worst I can get? 4, 4, and 4, right? This is just 4, 4, 2. Just 4, 4, 2. But the worst I can get is 4s all the way across. You guys agree? We all agree with that. This is the 704 for hydrogen cyanide. Okay? Cyanide is in every one of those fires that we're going to. Okay? So, previous slide I showed you dealt with one chemical. Now, y'all remember this. Back here. That's in everything for you. That's all those chemicals and some that I can't monitor for. Does that make sense? And so, let me try to put it another way. If I pretend this is a big sticker, or a big little 704 sign. If on your next fire, if I run up to the side of the house and I put one of these on there, would that get your attention if one of these placards was on the outside? That's what I want you to have in your head a little bit before we just go barreling in there. Is that's there for you. Something with that bad of gas is there because it burns. It's really bad for you. And at 135 parts per million is when it's immediately dangerous to your life and health and safety. Actually, I'm good with remembering numbers for some silly reason. I can't tell you the deep thought behind a book, but I can remember numbers. So how do I equate that for like hydrogen cyanide being immediately dangerous to your life and health at 135 parts per million? So picture this room filled with 100 golf balls, with 1 million golf balls, 1 million white golf balls. Cyanide molecules will be green golf balls. If only 135 of those 1 million golf balls that are in this room were green cyanide ones, that's immediately dangerous to your life and health. That's not a lot, correct? So, not a lot at all. When I went to Louisville some years ago, when I first started learning about this, we did some burns down there. The very last set of burns we did was this fire right here. And they let us burn desks, computers, I don't know what. They're like, have at it for the interest of science, go ahead and do it. All right, so they were doing. We were in there, we were taking some air monitoring readings. We'd radio out to the research team what our numbers were. We come out of the fire, we're out for 15, 20 minutes. It was the last one of the day. And this guy from Louisville goes, hey Troy, take these 2 monitors to your gear and see if you get anything. So I took the carbon monoxide monitor to my gear. I got 0. All right, cool. I took the cyanide one to my gear. When I got up to my helmet, I started off-gassing. Like 6, 8 parts per million of cyanide. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but the really smart, like NIOSH books tell you at 5 parts per million, that's the level that we need to start wearing our mask at, or the action level. So, and that was 15 minutes out. So think about when something gets superheated a little bit because it gets warm, that stuff is in there. So so like we talk about decon in our gear, that's why this is so important, okay? All right, yeah. All right, so that's one of the things I want you to remember. All right, so here's what we do. 80% of the fires I get are this one right here. Same with you guys probably too. 80%, easy. So the food on the stoves produces all those bad gases and stuff like that. It does not take a lot because you have this incomplete combustion right here. See these little sooty stuff right there? It doesn't take a lot to start producing those bad gases. Believe it or not, it's actually better as far as the chemicals and the bad stuff when the fire is free burning. Why?
Where it's hotter, burning fully.
Yeah, it's burning them off. It's getting rid of them. It's the incomplete combustion is what the bad stuff is. So like, who's been in the flashover chamber? Okay? You ever notice when you get ready as the fire gets going, it's in that first stage, and you start seeing the off-gassing as the water and everything vaporizes out of the OSB or whatever you're using to do it. You see the off-gassing? It's kind of the same type of thing. You're seeing those gases come out that are there. Okay? All right, so we talked about diesel exhaust. That gives a lot of soot. You guys would agree with that, correct? You go out in those bays in some of those old firehouses that are supposed to be painted white and black on the walls or on the ceilings. Auto shops, same way. All right, so we started to do a lot better. There for a while, some of the guys that got sick at work were ladder guys. Medic would be coming in and out of the station probably 15 times a day at one of their stations, just coming in, going out, coming in, going out. What do you think sat? Here's the exhaust. What do you think sat right here? Fire gear. Literally, if that's the medic driving by, here's where the gear was. And it gets in there and it sits in there. Okay, so, and then when we go to chase fire alarms around these big factories or something, we got to walk through the place. We put all of our gear on, we start sweating, which does what? Starts to absorb some of the stuff that's already in there, and that's where we start getting some of these things. So in vehicle fires, I've just skilled this next. I've done this too. I'm sure everybody in this room has. There's a lot of bad gases that are there for you as well. Okay? So just try and remember these things that are there. All right? So one thing that I learned a couple of years ago, I used to, yeah, like that, how the regulators out there, yeah, wait for it.
And when the chief comes,
Do what?
when the chief gets there,
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, why haven't hey, we good? You know, but I used to not worry about dumpster fires that much. I'd be like, are you serious? Another one or something like that. Then I learned somebody died from one. And because they thought that they went to a place, I can't remember where it was far away from my home, but I read those NIOSH reports every once in a while. And I was like, dumpster fire? What happened is that dumpster was full of metal. And they go, well, what doesn't it like the metal like it? And it doesn't like water, okay? So they're like, okay, we'll put foam on it. And foam has a lot of water, and some really bad things happen, and somebody pay the price. And so just the thing from that is just know that we don't know what's in those dumpsters that may react to the water or the foam or the dry chem or whatever that's there. Just know that there's bad stuff there for us or could be, okay? So wear a mask in our gear and stuff. So some of these chemicals that you're exposed to will make you more prone to develop these different types of cancers, and I'll leave these up here for a minute. And you can see them, and which makes sense as to why we developed some of these that we do. I didn't know that formaldehyde until recently became a known carcinogen. You guys remember biology class? We used to play in that stuff and everything. Of course, then you'd have somebody that didn't want to do the dissection, and we'd have to coach them through. But that smell of the formaldehyde when you'd walk into the biology lab and everything like that. Okay. All right. So a review of that 32 study thing says many of these chemicals can be inhaled, injected, but the big one is this one right here. It's starting to come into play, not absorbed. A friend of mine that's in his mid-40s at Pipe, he was working an overtime shift, and he's like football player, you know, just athletic as I'll get out, ready to rock. All the girls think he's good looking. I'm jealous of that, because you can't look like this nerdy guy and just pick him up. So, but he was working overtime one day and kind of goes, dude, you got this growth on the side of your neck. You should go. And he goes, no, I don't. He goes, yeah, I do. He goes to the doctor. He finds out he had cancer. And so they had to do some treatment with him, cut it out, all that good stuff. He's back on the job and working and still as sarcastic as ever. But I think some of that may be from the hoods, where we don't wash our hoods. I never washed my hood for the longest time. We wear 2 hoods now. You got 2 hoods? Where's your second hood?
My bag.
In your bag?
Mask bag on the truck.
Good, good. Don't make the mistake I made. I used to keep it in my coat, not realizing I wasn't doing myself any good, because it's still getting exposed to all this. It's in my second set of gloves. Leave them on the truck somewhere. Okay. All right. So soot is, even though we hear like smoke is fuel, you guys heard that before from the Dave Dotson readings and things like that. Soot is like a class 1 type of thing for us, exposure, because it has all that bad stuff that's there for you. You guys ever notice that, like, when you go into like some of your last fires that you've had, like one I did recently, I'm like crawling up these stairs, and because it was really smoky, I was talking with Chief about it last night, and I was like going, I just take my hands, I'm going like this to try and brush off your mask. You ever do that? You're trying to see your thermal camera, you're like going, I can't see, and feel like you're a windshield wiper. That stuff stays in our gloves too. Gotta make sure to wash those, but you'll see why here in a little bit that stuff is so bad for you. Your pores open up when you sweat. Some studies being done. This is where I'm going to help you guys out. See, there are some studies being done up in Toronto about saunas on fire stations. And you can laugh, but it's true. And they used to put a bicycle, like a little exercise bike or something. So after their fires, they would come back, get in there for about 15-20 minutes, or just sit in there. Opens your pores up, helps you get all those gases out of you. Helps you get them out. And they were noticing, like, after when you get done, you shower and everything, you go home, you still smell it for the next couple of days.
CIP.
And do what?
Capital budget.
Capital
Capital budget.
That's how I roll. You're welcome.
So we would never get that, but we've got the O2 gym that has them, so that's
That
one of those
doesn't work,
things.
it's never worked. It's
Never were-
broken half
Oh,
the
so
time you
Lieutenant
go.
Covington and Driver Down, we're gonna look into that as part of our
Yes.
after fire
Yes.
procedures.
I like the CIP.
Oh, just give it to everybody, huh?
Huh?
Just give it to everybody, huh?
Let's get it there.
Yeah,
Well,
get
the
that
counter
stuff
advises
out